expressed in this show belong to the person expressing them. They do not purport to reflect the opinions or views of Rancher or any other entity.
Good morning, everybody. Hold on a second. I literally just inhaled some coffee. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Coffee and Cloud Native, the show that shares news and interesting content related to Kubernetes, Cloud Native, and other nifty technology. My name is Adrian Goins, and I'm delighted. Today I'm delighted to be here with you. If you're watching live, consider following or subscribing to the channel. I moved my buttons. There it is. And if you're watching in the future, also give the video a thumbs up so that YouTube shares it with other people. Join the free community site and the Discord server. Links to that are in the video description down below. Live chat happens in Discord with a bot that relays between YouTube and Twitch. Come hang out with us either during the show or after. And as you'll see in a moment, Discord chat, that's where the action happens. Let's take a moment and say hello to some people. I am not doing coffee wrong, WifeBot. You're supposed to inhale it. You have more cells for absorbing chemicals into the body in your lungs than you do in your stomach. It just makes sense. So anyway, WifeBot's here. Good morning, Ariel. Duck. Duck says, does the loading screen actually pause, or was that just my stream of it? That was just you. The loading screen it's a single video. It goes straight from the 30-second loading thing right into the intro. It's not two videos. So yeah, that's you. All you, buddy. Rob, Frank, Peter Keach, James P. Mladen. Nuno, of course. Hey, I hear Mac is back. Everybody, tell Mac we missed him. Mac went on 30 days of vacation, and I think somewhere along the way, he was like, oh, the heck with this, and he just turned everything off. It's nice to, I don't know if you're actually in the chat today, but I saw your post in the community site. Welcome back. Ariel. Okay, we got lots of people here. Bala. All right, we're back to the beginning of the morning. If I didn't say hello to you, welcome anyway. Hey, Shipwreck, nice. Captain Justin, all right. Shall we get started? Today is the day when we look inward and share stuff from the CNCN community, either new members who have created a bio for themselves or content created by community members. And this is the part where I'm gonna tell all of y'all that you're making my job a lot harder than it has to be. Yeah, so here's what I do. I come in on Wednesday morning and I say, let's go look. We've had a bunch of members join. Let's see who I can introduce people to. So I click on this and I marvel at that handsome face that appears at the top of the list. And I click on newest. And I see that we have a lot of new members, which is great. Welcome to all of you. And then I scroll and I realize that basically none of you have a bio. Now, the way that a bio works, there's actually two parts. So I'm just gonna take a moment to explain this and ask that y'all go make a bio, because otherwise, like Helder Costa from Rotterdam, you sound cool. I'd like to know more about you. But do I just walk up and be like, yo, what's up, bro? Maybe. But if you tell me a little bit about yourself, at least we'll have something to talk about. So up here in the top right, if you come to your profile, you will see that there are two things here. One, this thing up at the top, which is like the little blurb about yourself. I'm a super nerd. I always have been. I love everything about technology, but I really love building things and setting them free. That's the little thing that'll appear here in the card. But what I'm really looking for is the thing that I realized today I don't even have, which is why I'm showing this to you. And that's down here in this introduce yourself section. If you click on that, it'll take you into your settings, and here's where you can be like, I'm Adrian. And then you can save that. What that does is it actually creates, oops, I already clicked save. It creates an article. I mean, Mighty Networks, the way that this stuff was all interfaced is super cool. So it creates an article, and I don't know where that article appears, but if I search for it, it's called Why I'm Here. And if I search for that there, you see mine just popped up at the top. These are the actual bios. So we've got one from Chaim posted a week ago. We've got Mladen posted a month ago, Ariel a month ago, Chip a month ago. Yeah, So I would like to introduce members to the community. Say, hey, here's so-and-so, here's what this person does, here's why you should go talk to them, so that we can all start talking. I mean, there's a lot that happens in Discord, but the community site, it's a little bit boring right now, and I paid a crap load of money for it. So please, please go use it. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go to the fallback plan. The fallback plan is where I click on members and I click on newest, and I already scrolled, and I found a meme from the hot seat last week. Totally coincidental, but a meme has a personal link. That's the other thing you can do. You can link to your LinkedIn profile. You can link to your personal website. A meme has a personal link that links to his blog. A meme has a blog where he talks about Kubernetes stuff, and it's super sparse and minimalist, and I think that's really great. So AK, no references to the Kalashnikov. Still super cool. We've got things like network policy E2E posted on December 27th. This has a wealth of information about his Kubernetes journey. Well, maybe not a wealth. There's 3 things. Oh no, there's a wealth. Okay, there's more there. It has 3 things on the front page. So Amin spends a lot of time with Kubernetes. He is in New York. I think he said Astoria, and has a cool blog. So everybody go raid Amim's blog, follow him, and go to the community site today and say, yo, Amim, what's up, bro? There we go. Let's move on. Damn it, I lost my button. The collector bots have gathered candidates for the show, and Trufflebot has scored them from 1 to 5 coffees. He'll post them one at a time in the Discord, in the live voting channel, and anyone watching live can rate them. Your votes are used to train the machine learning model that chooses content for the show, so get in there and vote. Oh, I didn't actually load the content for today. I made a change to Trufflebot last night. Let's see if he's actually participating. Oh. Okay, he's participating. And I'm in the wrong channel, but that's cool. So we're waiting for him to say that he's ready to go. Kessar6 says that invitation request form is so long. What invitation request form? Oh, the invitation request form if you want to join the community site. Really? It's not that long. Everybody gets in. It just allows me to see, who's joining the community and, what are they interested in? What sort of things do they bring to the community? I'm not doing anything with it yet, but I can farm that data and start doing introductions with it. Or if somebody has a question about something that you're good at, perhaps I can introduce the 2 of you. Hey, Wifebot just let someone in. All right, and Trufflebot says we are ready to go. So let's start with this. This is a complete guide to using EC2 spot instances for Kubernetes. Long time ago, people figured out that spot instances are super cheap, as much as 90% off of the on-demand rate for AWS, but they come with caveats, being that they can just get turned off with 2 minutes warning. 2 minutes. Amazon has made some changes over the years, and people have, Kubernetes has evolved, and there's now things and stuff and whatever. It's now totally possible to use EC2 spot instances for the majority of your Kubernetes worker nodes. You just have to build it intelligently. This guide tells you exactly how to do that. So first of all, we have a history of spot instances. You need an auto-scaling groups, and then you need to configure the cluster autoscaler to understand your auto-scaling groups. Okay, cool. Use the priority expander option, and then create a config map that uses a regex to set priorities for the things that it should scale first. So this prioritizes spot instances over on-demand instances, and so it'll scale up your spot instances. But then what about scaling back down? It's got great graphics that talk about how instance termination happens with the notification. And apparently EC2 now has an instance rebalance recommendation that'll give you a more than 2-minute warning that you are in danger of having your stuff shut down, and you can respond to that. It doesn't guarantee that the shutdown is going to happen, but it might give you the ability to like do some shuffling around of some workloads. There's a Helm chart that you can install. There's affinity rules. There's everything. Pod disruption budget. This article collects all of the things in Kubernetes that you need to wire together so that you're protected. And it had something that I had not heard of before, which is that, so we all understand about not oversubscribing, but over-provisioning. So oversubscribing is the opposite. Oversubscribing is where you have 1 megabit of bandwidth and you sell 50 megabits to customers. I'm looking at you, Frontier, for doing that to Denver back in the 90s. They had, it was whatever. They had like a T1 into Denver and they started selling T1s to everybody in Denver. Anyway, many of you don't know what a T1 is. That's fine. So over provisioning, I just thought of, well, you just have nodes sitting around that don't have anything happening on them. But no, you actually have nodes sitting around that have fake pods running on them that are just running the pause process. They have a lower priority than other pods. And so if something needs to get evicted, they'll get evicted first and real workloads will come in on them. This allows you to work with the autoscalers and the provisioners and stuff to actually, like Kubernetes thinks that it's running real workloads, but they're workloads that consume 0 resources. There's a whole section on implementing that. So yeah, these dummy over-provisioning pods, it's a great article. If you're using clusters in AWS in EC2, just go spend some time with this today and you can cut your cluster costs down by a massive amount. There's an article that'll be going out in the tweets with today's show. It's not going to make it on the show. It's one of the stuff that ends up at the end that basically says, if you want to save the world, cut your cluster costs. And it talks about how spending lots of money on resources in the cloud that you're not using is, the environmental aspects of that. So that fits really well with this. Okay, first test of the day. We should now see on, I'm hoping, did this work? I set up Trufflebot where hopefully it says, yay! Trufflebot tells those who are not in the live voting channel that the community rated it 4 coffees. So I don't have to do that anymore. 3 cheers for automation. Good job, Trufflebot. You get a raise. Give you an extra 100 millicores of CPU or something. We had Ketch on recently. Ketch is a tool that you can use instead of Helm to deploy stuff. And according to Shippa, Ketch is better than Helm. I don't know. Perhaps. I'm just here to share information. Anyway, on the tail of the article of using Ketch instead of Helm, here's how you can use Ketch in your CI/CD pipeline to actually deploy stuff into your cluster. This is interesting. Deploying stuff from pipeline into cluster, there are lots of different ways that you can do it. I went the easy route, which is that from GitLab, because the cncn.io site is actually published live automatically from GitLab. And in trying to figure out how to make that happen, one of the things, I sent an email to somebody about this morning. I prioritize speed over reliability, just slightly above reliability. When I'm looking for how to do something, I need to figure out really fast how to do it. And then I need to get that out there and I need to look at it and see, does this do what I want it to do? If it does, if it satisfies 80% of my requirements, then that's a good enough solution for me. It's the 80-20 rule. There might be something that satisfies 90% of my requirements or 100% of my requirements that takes 17 weeks to deploy. That's not a good solution. So I went the easy route and I just fire up a container with kube control and I do kubectl set image blah on my deployment. And I've got some stuff in there that lets that container talk to my Kubernetes cluster out in DigitalOcean. And that's fine for me, but it's not fine for everybody. So if you want to explore using Ketch and you want to explore how to wire that into, they use GitHub Actions as the solution, but wire it into whatever solution you want. Here's an article that walks through exactly how to do that, including, there's a repo down here at the bottom somewhere. Yeah, so there's a repo down here that has all the sample code for the GitHub Actions pipeline. And if you jump all the way out to the top, they have this ketch.yaml that shows the Ketch configuration, basically everything that you need to take this for a test drive and see if Ketch is the tool for you. We've not had anything from Litmus Chaos on in a while. This popped up, I don't know, a few days ago. And it's just a step-by-step guide on using Litmus Portal with MyHub, which I guess gives you your own little customized home inside of the Litmus Chaos hub. With this, you can build out your own tests. You can wire this back into Git repositories and see your whole, basically, chaos engineering pipeline stuff. I throw chaos engineering stuff on the show when it comes up and when I think that it's useful. I'm curious to know, in the chat, I'm going to jump back over to the live chat channel, how many of you use chaos engineering in your Kubernetes clusters? If you could just say yes or no in the live chat channel, or if you're watching on YouTube, just say in the YouTube or Twitch chat, it'll show up over here as well. Max says I'm putting playback onto 2x speed just so I can see what Adrian will say next. Waiting for people to... Okay, so we've got no, but would love to. No. Okay, interesting. Kessler says, I don't use chaos engineering. Most of my clients don't have adequate maturity to handle something like that. Yeah, Brendan, no. Okay, that's interesting. I also don't use it. That's interesting. I'm not sure where to go with that. Mac, you're funny. I use users to simulate chaos engineering. Yeah, my general feel on chaos engineering is that it's like Kessler said, it's an evolved state. When you're at the place where you're Netflix or something like that, then that sort of introduction of chaos into your environment is good. But back to the 80-20 rule, it's like something I can spend 80% of my time on that solves less than 20% of the problems that are in front of me. So it's almost like a nice to have thing. I'm also pretty much sure that if I turn this loose on my cluster, bad things will happen. Okay, I'm going to jump back over to the live voting channel here. It seems that so people give that, okay, so you're interested in chaos stuff, but not so much that I should spend a lot of time on it. That's good to know. Next up, we have somebody who's been on the show before, and this is kube-vip. The new rules for content are that once a URL appears, so when all the work that I did over the holidays shifted the source of truth to the URL. So a URL appears once and that's it. And from that, a submission is made and the model might put it on the show, or I can promote things if I'm like, yeah, I want to talk about this. And that's it. Once something appears on the show, that's it. I don't have logic built in yet for how something can reappear on the show, and I need that for things like this, where there's a Git repo and they're doing releases. I haven't figured that out yet, whatever. kube-vip, I put back on the show because they made a massive change. If you don't remember kube-vip allows you to do the same kind of thing that you can do with MetalLB, where you can get real IPs for service load balancers, and it'll do speaking and with ARP and BGP and stuff. But kube-vip has another thing where it can basically use that same functionality on the nodes themselves and move around an IP address that becomes the API server address. So you don't need a load balancer in front of your Kubernetes cluster if you have a multi-node HA Kubernetes cluster. I guess HA would have to be multi-node. If you have a single node HA Kubernetes cluster, you are amazing. You need a KS engineering tool. Well, there have been some hurdles in how to get kube-vip up and running, and they decided that they decided that they're not going to do that anymore. Hurdles are a thing. Hurdles are so 2020. And now they have hybrid mode where you can do everything all at once. That's a significant change in the architecture. And if you looked at kube-vip in the past and decided not to deploy it for whatever reason, it's worth looking at it again because of the functionality that it provides, especially if you're paying for a load balancer out in the cloud, sitting in front of one or more Kubernetes clusters. I guess you need a load balancer per cluster. If you have one, if you're wasting money, look at this tool. The end. Can't talk today. Where's my coffee? I am a fan of Gloo. Who here remembers Airplane? I'm not gonna do the jokes. I have a drinking problem. Throw it over my shoulder. Gloo rolled out, well, Solo rolled out a bunch of new stuff for Gloo Edge, which used to just be called Gloo, and Gloo Portal, which I haven't ever looked at. I don't know if that's an enterprise thing or not. New features in Gloo Edge 1.6, A/B testing with Flagger, OIDC auth improvements, so you can now refresh tokens and utilize Redis session stores. Support for complex Boolean logic in authentication. That's cool. Client-side Redis sharding. I don't need that, but if you do, there it is. And upstream WASM. So support for WASM is now upstream in Envoy, and Gloo Edge is no longer using a fork. That's cool. WASM is one of those things, I was talking with Shipwreck about this. Like, WASM is gonna be a thing. And it's like, if I can predict the future, not that I can, but I would say WASM is one of the things that we should all probably just learn. And once the rest of the world figures out that it's dope, we'll all have really good jobs. Other stuff for Gloo Portal, since I don't use Gloo Portal, I'm not going to talk about that. I do use Gloo. I don't use any of the external auth stuff. I think Gloo is amazing for an API gateway. And so, yeah, there you go. What do we got next? Oh, this is neat. I could probably spend the rest of the show on this. This has nothing to do with Kubernetes, and y'all are probably going to hate it, but just bear with me. Automatic social share images. If you've ever built a website, you're familiar with all of the open graph, Twitter tag garbage that has to go up in the meta thing. Otherwise, like, it shares the wrong thing. Like, every time Rancher shares something, it pulls the wrong image and it just says Rancher. Okay, so that's the problem statement. You know, it's like, you got to add this garbage for Twitter. You got to add that garbage for Facebook. And in fact, the bots, when they're looking for the URL metadata, they try to figure out what the description of the page is from these fields, which are usually set incorrectly because it's really hard to do. Okay, so this dude's like, you know what? I want something when I share that looks like this. So how can I do that in such a way that I don't have to make one of these in Photoshop and make it the image every single time I create something? And the rest of the article is a deep dive into templating that. Bear with me, don't downvote this yet. Templating that, using JavaScript libraries to actually extract stuff from the query string. Okay, we're still in basic HTML here. URL search params, here's some more JavaScript for you, explaining whatever, replacing data, using a serverless function to capture the page. So he goes on, because like having the data in there doesn't actually render the image. He needs to get the image rendered somehow from the data that's in his blog posts. So he created a Netlify, I think he has this on Netlify, maybe it's on Lambda, whatever. He created a serverless function that uses Puppeteer and yeah, the Netlify CLI to load the web page image dynamically in a thing, and then make a screenshot of it, and then upload that to a CDN, and then return the URL from the CDN. He does like a bunch of stuff to make sure he's not overwriting images that already exist. It's ridiculous. And then forwarding the final URL in the response. The result is that, let me scroll down to the bottom. You can't see all these little ones down here, but it's worth going and looking at this page. With just the work that he did here, he now has share images that embed properly when all he does is paste a link to his blog. And it's different for Twitter, Facebook, Slack, Discord, and iMessage, all with the same code, all just automatically happening. And all he does is post a blog. Boom! All these images appear. Really, really, really cool project. Today's show had an average rating of 4 coffees. Yay! You know what time it is now? It's time for the tool of the day. Today's tool of the day, I never, ever, 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 ever thought that I would be posting content from the government and being like, this is kind of cool. But twice now, we've had content from the government of the United Kingdom. And this one comes to you from the UK Home Office. That's the best I can do. I'm sorry if you're British and you're watching this and you hate me. That's fine. You can make fun of my American accent all you want. The UK Home Office created a wrapper around kubectl called KD, the Kubernetes Resources Deployment Tool. And initially I was like, bleh, like go government, let's wrap something else and call it our own. But what they've done I think is interesting. Their objective here is less work, easier to do stuff with automation, and holy cow, we're being invaded. Literally, there's a helicopter like 50 feet above my house. Oh my goodness. Reminds me of when I was in Nam. Okay. Hopefully nothing's on fire. Last time that happened, they had the fire helicopters flying back and forth to the river over there and like grabbing buckets of water. Anyway, automation, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what I was saying. The idea here is that you can have, can you see that? You can kind of see that. Let me make it a little bit bigger. The idea here is that you can have environment variables or variables otherwise defined that will be automatically swapped into your templates before they get piped into kubectl. So it's ultimately a templating engine, but they have a bunch of really cool functionality inside of it. Like if you just always call replace, it'll figure out that it needs to apply if it doesn't exist or replace with force if it does. They needed that for cron jobs. It can work with large objects. You can use the templating with KD run, so it'll extract a bunch of stuff and then run exec commands or pipe that stuff to kubectl. It has a whole bunch of other functionality. So there's split, file, file with, secret, and a lot of this breaks into Go templates. So for example, range split the variable list and sum up a bunch of stuff. So if you have a variable that's like 1, 2, 3, it'll automatically convert that into a list item inside of the manifest. Doing stuff with files, file with, like it gets crazy. So this is, it's niche, but if you've found yourself in a place where you need variable template substitution for stuff that you're doing with Kubernetes, I think this is an easier route to go than going with something like Kustomize. I love Kustomize. I use it for all of my stuff. Kustomize variables suck. Like once you start getting into variable substitution inside of Kustomize, the whole thing falls apart. It's like the definition of fragility. And this looks like it's a little bit more robust when ultimately all you want to do is swap some variables in and push some manifests out. So here you have KD. And Shipwreck, I made this tool of the day for you. The thing that was going to be tool of the day didn't actually make it on the show today, and it was actually, it was a Prometheus data source for Azure. And I know that you really like looking at the tool of the day after the show, and I figured that I didn't want to force you to go make an Azure account. So this is for you, my friend. Today's tool of the day. You know what that means? The time has come to say goodbye All right, kids, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, for hanging out with me for another 30-minute morning as I don't even know who invaded, but they went away. The dogs scared them off. Thank you for tuning in. Links to everything I talk about on the show go up in the free community site at community.cncn.io after the show ends. Come join us. Make a bio. Please, make a bio. Meet one another in the community site. Or don't, but I think it's cool if you do. Anyway, community members get access to stuff earlier than everybody else. There you go. If you have something you'd like me to consider for the show, post it in the show suggestions channel on Discord or in the community site, or ping me on Discord or ping me on Twitter. If you ping me, just make sure I respond. Yesterday, in response to something from Duck, I actually added functionality to the admin script where now I can submit things directly to the ML model. So I can either add it directly to the show or I can submit it from your guys' recommendations. And that's the beginning of being able to submit things directly through Trufflebot. So where we'll be hopefully soon is you can just go, hey, Trufflebot, and pass a link and it'll go in. And if the model says it's cool, it goes on the show. And if the model doesn't, we have to trust the bots. This is our future. We are slaves to the bots. Anyway, I'm over talking. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a great day, everyone. Keep learning. Be sure to play this back on 0.5x because, oh my gosh, I talk really fast. Stay caffeinated.